Welcome to another deep dive. Wow, you guys really outdid yourselves this time. Notes, outlines, mood boards. Looks like we're heading to New Orleans for the Gumbo Coven today.
I'm impressed. Someone has been busy. You really thought this through. Character sketches, school layouts, even monster designs. Oh, and a marketing plan, too.
And they even included a recipe for gumbo. Okay, so we're talking YA fantasy, right? Set in a magic school, Academy Lafitte's. But,
Yeah,
this is not Hogwarts.
not even close.
Right. This is New Orleans. We're talking Creole traditions, voodoo influences, all that. What lurks beneath the surface energy the city's famous for.
Exactly. It's like the city itself is a character in the story with its own personality and its own secrets.
Okay, so today's deep dive, we're going to unpack all the key elements of this world, see what makes it unique, and hopefully uncover some of those hidden gems that could really make this story sing.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. One thing that jumps out is the clash of magical traditions you've set up. You've got that more formal European salon magic, butting heads with the localized practices like voodoo and hoodoo. It's a great source of conflict, right?
Right, that tension alone could fuel some serious drama. Okay, so for those not familiar, this salon magic is essentially the traditional European style of magic, often associated with, those old established families and institutions. And it seems like they're trying to exert their control over the more, how would you describe it?
Free-flowing, more intuitive.
Exactly, the intuitive magic that's so deeply rooted in New Orleans.
It's like you're mirroring real-world power dynamics through these magical traditions. So is salon magic inherently problematic in this world? Or is it more about the clash of ideologies? The struggle for cultural preservation?
That's a great question. It seems like the school, Academy Lafitte, is caught in the middle of this clash, trying to teach and control magic within its walls, but the city itself has a mind of its own.
Exactly. And that's where the setting becomes so crucial. You've created these specific locations within the school that seem to reflect this tension, like, what was it called? Oh, yeah, Le Duzuli, that dorm with the shifting scents.
Oh, yeah. In the morning, it's peaceful jasmine, but by midnight, it's potent magnolia.
Like the magic itself is changing with the mood.
Spooky. And what about that mirror? That rumor that it reflects a hidden garden, jardin caché, instead of your own image?
It's like it hints at the unseen forces at play, the way magic can blur the lines between reality and illusion.
Right. What do you think those shifting scents mean? Could they be a way for, the spirits of the city, the Loa themselves, communicating?
Oh, maybe. It's like the city itself is pushing back against these attempts to control magic, reminding everyone it has its own rhythm, its own way of doing things.
Speaking of rhythm, what about that classroom, Le Cornet de Connaissance? The lessons actually take place in different locations around New Orleans, guided by the students' own charms?
Talk about experiential learning.
Right. It's not just about memorizing spells and potions. It's about understanding the city, its energy, its history, its secrets.
It's like the city is testing the students, seeing if they're worthy of its magic.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, what about that salle d'or, the headmaster's hidden chamber?
Oh, yeah. You can only access it through specific emotions, not a password or a key.
What do you think that says about the headmaster, the maître du courant?
Suggests a deep understanding of emotional magic.
Right.
Maybe even a connection to those roots traditions the salon practitioners are trying to suppress.
Right. And then there's the cabinet of mystères inside that chamber. The objects inside, they change, depending on the current threat, emotions in the room, even the city's, what was it?
The magical currents.
Right. That's not just a cool detail, it's a statement about how deeply magic is intertwined with the city itself.
Absolutely. Even the headmaster's space isn't immune to the city's influence. Now, let's meet some of these characters who are navigating this world. You've created a diverse cast, and their motivations, it seems, go beyond just mastering magic.
Absolutely. So the protagonist, Gigi, is struggling to balance her salon heritage with, the other magic of New Orleans, that internal conflict, that feeling of being caught between two worlds.
Lots of readers can relate to that.
Right. Regardless of their background. Okay, and then there's Criskine, whose psychic abilities are both a gift and a burden.
Very sensitive to the unseen world.
Which can be overwhelming, especially in a city like New Orleans.
Right, where the veil is so thin. Then we have Remy. Their dual heritage is literally visible in their appearance. One side reflects their European ancestry, the other their indigenous ancestry.
And they were born with twin spirits, each tied to one of those heritages.
So Remy has this unique connection to both scientific magic and spirit-based practices. It's like they're a bridge between worlds, but also vulnerable to those who would exploit their power. Like Baron Samedi, who we know is very interested in Remy's duality.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of morally ambiguous characters, there's Cleo, the dream wife.
Stealing dreams and feeding Baron Samedi's schemes.
Right. Talk about a character with agency, but what happens to those whose dreams are stolen? What's the cost of this kind of magic?
And then, of course, there's the maître du courant, the headmaster, shrouded in mystery.
Oh, yeah. We know they have unconventional methods, and there are hints of a hidden scar, maybe even a connection to that Corrivini tradition, you know, the one with the serious bargains.
It's that ambiguity that keeps things interesting. Are they trying to guide Gigi or using her? Who knows? The mystery surrounding them is definitely a hook that will keep readers guessing. It really adds to that New Orleans Gothic vibe you've got going on. Speaking of which, let's talk about the magic system itself. You've mentioned it's influenced by both European traditions and those localized practices, creating this dynamic and sometimes volatile system.
Yeah, it's like you're blending the structured with the unpredictable, mirroring the city itself. And you're using real-world elements from voodoo and hoodoo, like vevs and sigils. But in your world, they're not just cool designs. They have hidden meanings, connections to specific lineages, even family secrets.
It's a great way to ground the magic in something tangible and familiar.
Right.
But then you add those layers of complexity and mystery. So for those who aren't familiar, vevs are those intricate designs used in voodoo rituals to call upon specific loa or spirits, and sigils or symbols often associated with magical intent and power.
Exactly. And you're not just using visuals. You've also mentioned the importance of sound and rhythm in your magic system, from chants to music, even the dripping of water. It's like the whole city has this sonic landscape that carries both beauty and danger.
So true to New Orleans, right? You're tapping into that heartbeat of the city, the way music and oral traditions are woven into the very fabric of life there. It's not just about what you see, it's about what you feel, what you hear, what vibrates in your soul.
Ooh, I like that. And then there's this concept of rêves and réalités, where dreams become a commodity, traded, manipulated, especially by Cleo. It's like you're blurring those lines between imagination and reality, making dreams themselves a source of power, but also vulnerability.
Fascinating concept.
Yes.
It ties into that idea of the unseen world having its own economy, its own rules.
Yeah.
And Cleo, with their ability to steal and manipulate dreams, becomes a kind of power broker in that realm. But it raises those ethical questions we talked about earlier.
Right. Definitely. Like, what happens to those people, the people whose dreams are stolen? Do they lose something of themselves? And how does this connect to Baron Samedi's schemes? Is he the ultimate buyer in this dream market, using those stolen desires and fears to fuel his own chaotic agenda?
Those are the questions that will keep readers hooked. And speaking of things that go bump in the night, let's talk about those monsters. You've mentioned creatures inspired by local folklore, but with unique twists, like the Rougarou, who's not just a typical wolfman.
Right. You've described him as a twisted protector with gator scales, a cypress tree ear, and those misty gray eyes that shed tears for those he has to fight because of human ignorance. It's a whole new take on this classic creature, making it both monstrous and tragic.
I love that. It's not just about scaring the reader. It's about making them think about the Rougarou's role in this world. Is he a villain? A victim? Or something in between? And what does his presence say about the balance of nature and the consequences of human actions?
And then there's the Sirène de Marée mermaid, a creature of boundaries and warnings. But forget those alluring songs. Her voice is said to echo those metal scrapes of crumpled tinsel decorations. A chilling warning to those who get too attached.
That's such a unique and unsettling take on the mermaid myth.
Right.
It's not about luring sailors to their deaths. It's about respecting boundaries, both physical and emotional. It's almost as if this mermaid is a guardian of the city's secrets, warning those who would trespass or exploit its magic.
And then there's the Creole deas, a bone coral reef formed from extinct megafauna skeletons. The eyes glow, tiny skulls hold trap ancestral fears. It's creepy, but also beautiful in a macabre way.
Powerful image. Speaks to the layered history of New Orleans, right? The way the past is always present. It's also a warning about the dangers of delving too deep, of uncovering secrets that were meant to stay buried.
You've also mentioned other creatures, the weeping lady who lures victims to watery depths, giant catfish, man-eating snapping turtles, even a tale of children raised by alligators. The bayous around New Orleans are clearly not a place to go swimming alone, but what do you think all these monsters represent?
They embody those primal fears and the untamed energy of the natural world. They represent the consequences um, of disrespecting those boundaries, of trying to control forces that are beyond human comprehension. It's almost as if they're the city's immune system, pushing back against those who would disrupt its balance.
Now, let's talk about some of those deeper themes you're exploring. You've mentioned issues like systemic racism, cultural appropriation, and the legacies of colonialism,
Right.
all woven into the magical elements of the story.
This is where the Gumbo Coven goes beyond a typical YA fantasy and becomes something more meaningful. You're not shying away from those difficult conversations. You're using the fantastical elements to illuminate real-world issues and challenge readers to think critically about those power dynamics.
Absolutely. And there's also that strong theme of self-acceptance, embodied by Christine and Remy's struggles to embrace their unique abilities and heritages. It's like you're saying it's okay to be different, to embrace those parts of yourself that make you unique, even if the world tries to tell you otherwise.
Exactly. And that message is so important, especially for young readers who are still figuring out who they are and where they fit in. You're showing them that their differences are not weaknesses, but strengths, and that embracing those differences can lead to a deeper understanding of themselves and their place in the world.
And then there's that constant tension between salon magic, with its attempts at control and order, and the more chaotic, unpredictable nature of New Orleans magic. It's like a metaphor for those real-world power struggles. The clash between tradition and innovation, the struggle for cultural preservation in the face of assimilation.
It's a theme that resonates on so many levels.
Yeah.
And by grounding it in this magical world, you're making those complex issues more accessible and engaging. For readers of all ages, it's a brilliant way to spark those conversations and challenge those preconceived notions about power and identity.
Speaking of engaging readers, let's talk about your marketing plans. You're taking a multi-platform approach, which is smart, appealing to both YA and middle grade readers, offering different levels of detail and complexity.
It's a great strategy for building a diverse readership and expanding the world of the Gumbo Coven beyond the books themselves.
Right. You've got those website extras, interactive quizzes, and even a, what was it called? Oh, yeah, a Jeune Gardiens forum for those dedicated fans who want to dive deeper. Love that name. Jeune Gardiens, like young protectors of the city's secrets. And your merch ideas are so creative. Jewelry inspired by those Casket Girls limited edition books with scent-infused pages. You're really tapping into the sensory experience of New Orleans.
Creating a whole world that readers can experience with all their senses.
Yeah.
That level of detail and thoughtfulness is what sets this apart from just a typical marketing campaign. You're inviting readers to become a part of this world, to connect with it on a deeper level.
And let's not forget that that Creole gift package. Partnering with local businesses not only supports the community, but also adds an authenticity that you can't get with, mass-produced merchandise.
Exactly. And that customization element, adding the recipient's company logo, subtly burned in during specific lunar phases. It's those little touches that make it special.
It's almost as if you're creating magic in the real world, infusing those objects with the energy of New Orleans and the story itself.
And those interactive quizzes on your website, they're more than just personality tests. They're designed to make readers think critically about the story's themes and characters.
Like that question about choosing the image from Creole that stayed with them the longest. And the image subtly shifts based on their choice, like a vine growing thorns or a crack in an orange glowing creepy, right?
It's those subtle details, those hints of the uncanny that really stick with you. And that question about choosing a proverb that makes them feel less alone, it's so personal, so insightful. And if someone keeps choosing the question marks, a conch shell alarm in the story gives a high tide warning.
It's like the reader's choices are actually influencing the story itself. That's incredible. And then there's that question about what sound they'd offer to appease an ancient cypress tree, and they can even record their offering.
It's such a creative way to engage readers and tap into that sonic element of your magic system. And as they're recording, the salon side of the screen shrinks as if the Crevini magic is pushing back against the dominant narrative.
And if they try to back out, the screen starts to smell like the bayou. You're really pulling out all the stops to create a truly immersive experience.
It's not just about reading the story. It's about stepping into it, feeling it with all your senses. And that's what makes the Gumbo Coven so special. You're not just creating a world, you're creating an experience.
Okay, so you've mentioned moving from a 7-book series to a 9-book structure organized in trios, mirroring those ritual cycles found in, New Orleans magical traditions. What prompted this shift?
Expanding to 9 books allows for more breathing room to delve into the characters' backstories, explore the nuances of the magic system, and develop those multi-layered storylines. It's like you're giving the story the space it needs to truly breathe and unfold organically.
The initial 7-book concept focused more on Gigi's journey, but with Remy's introduction and that exploration of, Indian blood ancestry, the scope has expanded. It's like the story itself has become more complex, mirroring the city's own layered history and diverse cultural influences.
Exactly. And those ritual cycles you're weaving into the structure, they create this sense of uh, rhythm and inevitability. It's like the story itself is being guided by those unseen forces, those ancient rhythms that pulse beneath the surface of New Orleans.
Now, each trio of books will carry specific themes, not just a rising threat level. It's
Yeah.
like you're creating these echoes and connections across the series, rewarding those who, reread and dig deeper.
It's like those musical call and response patterns you find in jazz, where
Mhm.
each repetition builds upon what came before, creating this complex and layered tapestry of sound. And those crew formations within the school, those will become more central to the plot, reflecting that tension between Salon and Rude's magic.
It's like those crew dynamics mirror real-world social structures, right? Those
Exactly.
hierarchies and power struggles that exist within any community. And by exploring those dynamics within the context of, magic, you're adding another layer of social commentary to the story.
Exactly. And those dynamics will evolve and shift as the characters grow and change, adding another layer of complexity to the narrative. You've really thought this through, creating a world that's rich in both detail and meaning.
Now let's dive into some of those specific plot points and twists. You mentioned the whisper room, a space for practicing intuitive skills, will be key for foreshadowing and revealing character dynamics.
The Whisper Room is such a brilliant concept. It's a space where the unseen forces can be felt most keenly, where secrets are whispered, and where those with a true connection to the city's magic can tap into those hidden currents.
The salon practitioners see it as a tool for training their students in approved methods of divination. But those more attuned to the city's rhythms discover the room has its own agenda. It's like it's a conduit for those roots traditions that the salon practitioners try to control but can never truly suppress.
And Baron Samedi is watching those events closely, sensing opportunity in the chaos and confusion of the Baron. Always the trickster, the manipulator, the embodiment of those forces that lurk in the shadows. What role does he play in those Whisper Room revelations?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's like he's waiting for those cracks to appear, those moments of vulnerability that he can exploit. And you've mentioned a specific mid-book twist that takes place during a slow week when the scent of magnolia is unusually strong and Cleo is missing from school.
That's setting off all sorts of alarm bells for me. Cleo's disappearance, the heightened scent of magnolia. It's like the city itself is signaling that something is about to go down. And during this week, a salon instructor tries to revive an ancient game called Le Jeu des Ombres, or the Shadow Game, in Harmony Circle.
Talk about tempting fate. They're trying to reclaim and control a tradition they don't fully understand, and that never ends well in stories like this. It's like they're inviting those chaotic forces into their carefully constructed world of order and control.
And Baron Samedi is no doubt orchestrating events behind the scenes, using those salon kids' fear and ambition to his advantage. He's the puppet master playing a much deeper game, and they're just pawns in his grand scheme.
It's like that saying, the devil is in the details. While those salon kids are focused on winning the game, they're blind to the true danger lurking beneath the surface.
Exactly. And their attempts to control those ancient forces will only make things worse, unleashing those chaotic energies they were trying to suppress. It's a classic case of hubris meeting its downfall.
You've also mentioned those dorm rooms in Lilderzuli being designed to subtly reflect the magical currents and power dynamics at play.
It's like those rooms are microcosms of the larger world, each detail hinting at those unseen forces and the struggle for balance.
The smell changes depending on who's present, a blend of perfumes, rose and magnolia, which Baron Samedi apparently enjoys. But beneath those pleasant florals, there's a hint of something else, blackened herbs like lavender.
It's like those blackened herbs are drawing in specific colors, maybe from the drum skins in the root temple, or the ink used by Tit Albert, a powerful figure in Hoodoo tradition. It's a subtle way of showing how Those roots traditions are seeping into even the most controlled spaces.
And the silks on the beds are soft, but underneath are charms sewn in by the characters' mothers, creating a sense of comfort and protection. But if a salon kid touches one of those charms, they feel a chill, like the underside of a cypress root.
It's like the magic is reacting to their fear, their lack of connection to the city's rhythms. It's a reminder that those who try to impose their will on New Orleans magic will find themselves met with resistance.
There's even a specific taste associated with those rooms, a blend of honeysuckle and the rusty tang of old pipes. It lingers like a reminder of the city's hidden currents.
It's like a sensory signature, a way for those touched by the city's magic to recognize each other.
Mm.
And it speaks to that idea of New Orleans getting under your skin, its magic becoming a part of you, whether you want it to or not.
Now let's talk about the June Guardians Forum you're creating. It's a brilliant way to build community and give dedicated readers a deeper dive into the world.
It's like you're creating a secret society within the fandom,
Right.
rewarding those who are truly invested in the story.
Mm.
And those tiered memberships, unlocking exclusive content. It's a great way to keep readers engaged and coming back for more.
Like the Grand Zombie tier, receiving those like chord whispers as audio files that change the mood while reading. And in Loon's Den, the online space dedicated to the story's creatures, those emperors, tier members, unlock a sketch of Remy with scratch and sniff patches that release the scent of cypress at key moments.
It's all about that sensory immersion, and you're blurring the lines between the digital world and the physical world, creating a truly interactive experience. It's not just about reading the story anymore. It's about stepping into it, experiencing it with all your senses.
And then there are those limited edition books with scent-infused pages. The paper itself will have a worn velvet feel, holding impressions and whispers. So cool.
You're making those books into artifacts, objects imbued with magic and meanings, like holding a piece of the story itself.
And if you press too hard on the cover, the color might subtly shift, like a thumbprint lingering. It's like the book is reacting to your touch. And instead of a dedication page, there's a vave. But the Loa it represents remains a mystery to most readers.
It's like you're rewarding those who are familiar with voodoo traditions, those who can decode those hidden messages, and those whose lineage matches the Loa, represented by the vave. They hear a faint humming sound. It's like the Loa themselves are reaching out.
It's amazing how you're layering these details, creating a truly unique and multi-layered reading experience.
You're not just telling a story. You're crafting an experience that engages the reader on multiple levels.
Now, let's talk about those book titles. You're not just choosing words. You're creating invocations, phrases that call forth the right energy for each installment. It's like you're casting spells with language itself.
Clever way to add another layer of meaning to the series. And it speaks to the power of language in your world. The way words themselves can carry magical weight and influence the flow of events.
So you've kept Rêve Brisé, which means broken dream in French, as a later title, because it echoes those shattered hopes of Christine and even the city itself. And for the final book, you're using a title that salon magic practitioners will hate because it's in the correct circle wording, giving those unruly languages a chance to shine.
It's a powerful statement about reclaiming language and challenging those who try to control and suppress those diverse traditions. And the title you've chosen, Cercle de Racines Brisées, which means Circle of Broken Roots, so evocative.
Right. It speaks to those themes of cultural erasure and the resilience of those, whose lineages have been disrupted or denied.
It's not just a title. It's a statement of intent, a promise of what's to come. And it suggests that the final confrontation will be about more than just defeating a villain. It will be about reclaiming those lost traditions and finding a way to heal those broken roots.
Now, let's step inside Academy Lafite and explore some of those classrooms. You've mentioned designs that go beyond functionality, becoming extensions of the story's themes and atmosphere.
It's like you're treating those classrooms as characters themselves, each one with its own unique personality and energy.
So let's start with Le Cornet de Connaissance, where the city itself is the teacher. Instead of one location, lessons are held in various spots around New Orleans, chosen by the students' charms and the city's rhythms.
Brilliant way to show that learning magic isn't just about textbooks and lectures. It's about experiencing the city, connecting with its energy, and understanding its secrets. It's about that immersive, experiential approach to education.
Tuesdays are spent on the riverbank, where the wealthy folks hate to cross because it might mess up their shoes.
It's like you're intentionally putting those privileged students in a situation where they have to confront their discomfort, their fear of the unknown. And the fact that the locations are chosen by the students' charms is like the city is rewarding those who show kindness and generosity.
Other weeks, lessons might be held in an empty attic that echoes the salon sanctuary, the school's main hall for salon magic. It's like you're showing that even in those spaces dedicated to control and order, the echoes of the city's magic can't be completely silenced.
It's a reminder that those two worlds, those two ways of understanding and wielding magic, are constantly in dialogue, constantly pushing and pulling against each other.
Next up, Solidarines, where the lessons are all about sound and vibration.
Ah, yes. The classroom that embodies the heartbeat of New Orleans.
The walls are covered with maps made of those tiny iridescent scales from Mississippi River mermaids.
Yeah.
The tables mimic the patterns on those gator drums we talked about earlier. It's like you're bringing the sounds and textures of the city into the classroom itself.
And those shells filled with animal skulls, each one representing a different family lineage and their unique magical rhythms. It's a reminder that magic is connected to ancestry, to heritage, to the spirits of those who came before us.
And that faint smell of rust and copper in the air makes those salon magic practitioners nervous because it reminds them of those ancient rituals they've tried to suppress.
It's like an olfactory warning, reminding them that those unruly traditions haven't been eradicated. They're just simmering beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to erupt.
This classroom is all about listening with more than just your ears feeling those vibrations in your bones and using your voice to create and manipulate those magical currents. It's like you're teaching those students how to become one with the city's rhythms.
Exactly. It's not just about learning spells. It's about attuning yourself to the frequencies of this place, understanding its language, its music, its soul.
Okay, now let's talk about Cleo's classroom, Reveries and Realités, where dreams become reality and reality itself can be a dream.
Ooh, Cleo's classroom.
Yeah.
This is where things get really interesting. A room dedicated to dream magic, to those blurred lines between consciousness and illusion, perfect for Cleo, who already operates in that liminal space.
It's in the oldest part of the school where the cypress wood is rotting,
Yeah.
but that rot has this beautiful iridescent sheen to it. Cleo says it enhances their ability to borrow dreams.
It's that juxtaposition of beauty and decay, of life and death, that makes this so compelling. It's like a metaphor for the creative process itself, the way something new can arise from something that's been broken down or transformed.
And those dream jars, each one containing swirling colors and whispers representing stolen memories or fragments of someone's subconscious. It's both beautiful and a little creepy.
Right. It's like a visual representation of Cleo's power,
Mm.
their ability to capture and manipulate something as ephemeral as a dream. But it
Yeah.
also raises questions about the ethics of it all.
All right.
What happens to those whose dreams are taken? What's the cost of this kind of magic?
And the air smells like sweet perfume mixed with the sharp tang of metal, intoxicating but also unsettling. It's like a sensory representation of Cleo's duality, their allure, but also the potential danger they represent.
It's like walking a tightrope between pleasure and pain, beauty and danger. And those mirrors lining the wall, not ordinary ones, of course. They show distorted reflections, fragmented images, glimpses of other worlds.
It's like stepping into a dream where the rules of reality no longer apply, and there's a rumor that one of those mirrors is a portal to Baron Samedi's realm. But only those who've made a bargain with him can see it.
Talk about adding a layer of intrigue and danger to Cleo's classroom.
Now let's move on to a space that's a bit more grounded, but no less fascinating. Le Marché, the school's marketplace. But it's not your typical school store with, textbooks and supplies.
Le Marché is like a magical bazaar,
Right.
a crossroads where the mundane and the magical collide. It's a reflection of the city itself with its vibrant mix of cultures and traditions.
You've described it as bustling, filled with stalls, selling enchanted trinkets, rare ingredients, whispered secrets, even stolen memories. It's like a glimpse into the underbelly of the magical world,
Right.
a place where anything can be bought or sold if you know the right price.
It's a great way to showcase the diversity of magical practices in your world, and it also introduces a sense of danger. What are the consequences of this unregulated market? What happens when magic falls into the wrong hands?
The salon practitioners try to regulate Le Marché, but there's always that sense that something wilder is lurking beneath the surface, those bargains made in the shadows that they can't control.
It's like a metaphor for those who try to impose order on a world that thrives on chaos and unpredictability.
Right.
It's a reminder that those in power may think they're in control, but there are always those who operate outside the rules, those who know how to navigate the shadows and make deals with forces beyond their comprehension.
And Cleo is a regular presence in Le Marché, bartering for those stolen dreams, using their knowledge of the city's underbelly to their advantage. They're like a shadow broker, navigating the gray areas of this magical marketplace.
Cleo's presence adds a layer of danger and unpredictability to La Marche. You've outlined a specific scene in the second book where Cleo, dressed to impress, is trying to attract those royal tier subscribers on the Jin Guardians forum.
Right. They're offering a salon-style necklace, but the beads have been replaced with something much more unsettling. Tiny fingernail clippings from those casket girls polished until they shine.
Perfect blend of beauty and the macabre, which
Oh.
seems to be Cleo's signature style, and those salon kids who wear those necklaces. Their dreams become more vivid, more disturbing, filled with visions of what happened on the third floor of the convent where those casket girls were said to have been imprisoned.
Talk about unintended consequences. It's like those salon kids are unknowingly tapping into a dark current, a history they've tried to ignore or suppress, and it's all thanks to Cleo's manipulations.
It's a reminder that even the most seemingly innocent objects can carry a dark history, a hidden energy that can be awakened under the right circumstances. And Cleo, with their penchant for the macabre and their knowledge of the city's secrets, is the perfect catalyst for unleashing those forces.
Meanwhile, those students attuned to the city's rhythms are sneaking out to offer something real, something that honors those forgotten traditions. It's like a quiet rebellion, a reclaiming of those authentic practices that the salon practitioners have tried to erase.
It's a glimmer of hope in a world that seems increasingly dominated by those who seek to control and manipulate magic.
Hmm.
It suggests that the spirit of New Orleans, that untamed energy that pulses beneath the surface, can never be truly contained.
Next up, we have Les Enfants Fanés, a classroom dedicated to the delicate and dangerous art of spirit communication. This is where those who dare to listen to the whispers of the dead can learn to navigate the realms beyond the veil.
This classroom is a perfect setting for exploring those themes of death, grief, and the afterlife. And the name itself, Les Enfants Fanés, the Fated Children, it evokes a sense of loss and melancholy, but also a hint of those who linger between worlds, those whose presence hasn't fully faded away.
The room is dimly lit walls painted a deep indigo, the color of mourning and spiritual protection. The air is thick with incense and dried herbs, a blend that makes salon practitioners nervous because it's associated with those unruly traditions they've tried to suppress.
It's like you're creating a space where those salon sensibilities are challenged, where the boundaries they've erected between the living and the dead begin to dissolve.
The tables are made of salvaged cypress wood, rough-hewn with knots and imperfections that hold echoes of those who once touched it.
It's like you're bringing the history of the city, the weight of the past, into the classroom, and those wrought iron chairs, painted black and adorned with tiny silver bells that tinkle softly with every movement. It's a hauntingly beautiful detail.
And the instructor, Le Maître de Marmot, the Master of Whispers, dressed in shades of gray and black, their face partially obscured by a wide-brimmed hat with a single black feather that seems to move as if caught in a phantom breeze.
It's like you're painting a portrait of a figure who exists between worlds, a guide to those who seek to communicate with the dead. And those salon practitioners are wary of their methods, believing they're dabbling in something dangerous and unpredictable.
Which, of course, they probably are. But there's also a hint that Le Maître de Mimure might be carrying one of Baron Samedi's canes, a gift from the Loa himself, but only those with a specific lineage or magical sensitivity can see it.
It's such a clever detail.
Yeah.
It suggests that this instructor has a connection to the Baron, which could be either a source of power or a potential liability, depending on how they choose to use it.
It's like a reminder that even in the realm of the dead, there are hierarchies, alliances, and power struggles, and those who dare to tread those paths must be careful who they trust and what bargains they make.
It's a fascinating exploration of the complexities of the afterlife and the idea that even in death, there are choices to be made and consequences to face.
Now let's step into a classroom that offers a bit of respite from those darker themes. Le Jardin Caché, the hidden garden where students learn about herbal magic and the healing arts.
Ah, the hidden garden, a sanctuary within the school, a place of peace and rejuvenation, where the natural world and the magical world intertwine. It's a perfect setting for exploring the gentler aspects of New Orleans magic.
It's said to be accessible only through a specific mirror in L'Oiserie dorm, and only when the moon is in a particular phase and the air is filled with the scent of jasmine.
It's like a secret garden, hidden away from those who aren't meant to find it. And the conditions for entry of the moon phase, the scent of jasmine, it's like a ritual in itself, a way of ensuring that only those with the right intentions and sensitivities can access this sacred space.
The garden is a riot of colors and scents, a blend of cultivated plants and those that have sprung up wild. There's a small fountain in the center, fed by a natural spring, and the water is said to have healing properties, but only if you drink from it at dawn while humming a specific tune passed down through generations.
It's like you've created a space where the wisdom of the ancestors is still alive, a place where those ancient traditions haven't been forgotten or corrupted by the influence of salon magic.
The instructor, Elodie, is described as having a gentle touch and a deep understanding of the plants and their properties. She doesn't wear fancy robes or carry a wand. She prefers simple clothes and a woven basket filled with tools and ingredients, each one carefully chosen for its purpose and history.
She's like an embodiment of the Earth Mother archetype, someone who works in harmony with nature, drawing on its healing power to nurture and restore. It's a beautiful contrast to those who try to control and dominate magic.
But even in this peaceful sanctuary, there's a hint of danger. Salon practitioners might see Elodie's teachings as quaint and outdated, but those who study with her discover that her knowledge is profound, even potentially dangerous, especially when those herbal remedies are combined with the right intentions and whispers.
It's a reminder that even the most gentle forms of magic can have a dark side, and that power, no matter how well-intentioned, must be wielded with wisdom and respect.
Next, we have Le Grenier Perdu, the Lost Attic, where students learn about the history of magic in New Orleans and the dangers of those forgotten traditions. It's a classroom that delves into the shadows of the city's past, a place where the weight of history is palpable.
Brilliant setting for exploring the theme of hidden knowledge and the consequences of those who try to suppress or control it. The Lost Attic is like a Pandora's box filled with both treasures and potential dangers.
It's located in the oldest building on campus, sealed off for decades, and the air is thick with dust and the scent of decay. Salon and practitioners associate this with those unruly energies they've tried to contain. It's like they're afraid of what might be unleashed if those secrets are unearthed.
And those shelves filled with ancient artifacts, grimoires, even a few shrunken heads. It's a treasure trove of forbidden knowledge, a reminder that the past is never truly gone. It's just waiting to be rediscovered.
The instructor, Gardien Benoit, or Keeper Benoit, is described as an old, wizened man, always dressed in simple brown robes stained with mud and cypress sap. His hands are gnarled and twisted as if he spent a lifetime grappling with those unseen forces that salon magic tries to deny.
He's like a guardian of those forgotten traditions. A keeper of the flame that has been passed down through generations, despite attempts to extinguish it.
Salon practitioners see him as eccentric, maybe even dangerous, believing his teachings are too close to those forbidden practices they've tried to suppress. But there's a hint that he might perform a ritual every full moon, involving a silver bowl filled with Mississippi River water and a single blackened cypress needle.
It's like he's tapping into the lunar cycles, the ebb and flow of the river, the very essence of New Orleans magic. And those who attend this ritual might glimpse their past lives or even see visions of the future, but only if they're willing to pay the price.
It's a reminder that knowledge, especially the kind that delves into those hidden realms, always comes with a cost. Now let's move from the classroom to the seat of power, the headmaster's office. You've mentioned it's more than just a place for, paperwork.
The headmaster's office is a reflection of their authority, their personality, even their magical philosophy. It's where the decisions that shape the school and perhaps even the fate of the city itself are made.
It's on the top floor with those tall windows overlooking New Orleans. But instead of pristine white curtains, there are heavy dark velvet drapes that are always drawn.
Creates this sense of secrecy, of power operating behind closed doors. It's like you're saying that the true workings of magic, especially in a city like New Orleans, are not meant for public consumption.
The walls are lined with bookshelves, but it's not just textbooks and spell books. There are old journals, maps, even a few voodoo dolls, all meticulously organized and labeled, suggesting the headmaster has a big understanding of both Salon and New Orleans magic.
It's like they're a collector of knowledge.
Yeah.
Someone who sees value in all forms of magic, even those that the salon practitioners deem dangerous or unorthodox.
Instead of a typical office chair, there's an old rocking chair made of blackened cypress wood. It was a gift from the headmaster's grandmother, a powerful practitioner of hoodoo. And some say it has its own spirit or even a connection to Baron Samedi.
Ooh, that's a chilling detail. Suggests that the headmaster has a lineage that goes beyond the formal world of salon magic. They're connected to those older, more primal traditions, and that makes their role even more ambiguous. Are they trying to bridge the gap between those worlds, or are they playing a more dangerous game?
And the smell in that office, burnt coffee and cypress sap. Some find it comforting, others unsettling. It's like a reminder that even in this position of authority, the wildness of New Orleans magic can't be completely tamed.
It's like the city itself is breathing down the headmaster's neck, a constant reminder of the forces they're trying to control. And that chipped tile near the headmaster's desk, the shape echoes a human heart, but also the outline of the United States map. What do you make of that?
It's like a subtle hint that their decisions have far-reaching consequences. They're not just responsible for the school; they're also a player in a much larger game, one that involves the fate of the city, perhaps even the country.
It's a reminder that power, especially magical power, is never wielded in a vacuum. It always has ripple effects impacting those around us and shaping the world in ways we might not fully comprehend.
Okay, let's talk about a space that's a bit more mysterious and potentially dangerous. The salle de jeu, a hidden chamber dedicated to games and rituals that blur the line between play and reality.
Salle de jeu, the game room. It sounds like a place where the rules of reality are suspended, where chance and fate collide, and where the stakes are always high.
Right.
It's like you've created a space that embodies the seductive but dangerous nature of magic itself.
You've said it's accessible only through a specific combination of movements and whispered phrases, and the entrance is constantly shifting, making it nearly impossible to find unless you're invited or have a particular magical sensitivity.
Adds to the mystery and allure. It's like you're saying this is a place reserved for those who are truly in tune with the city's magic, those who are willing to take risks and embrace the unknown.
The walls are lined with mirrors, but they're not ordinary mirrors. They show reflections of other rooms, glimpses of the city's past, even visions of possible futures. It's like stepping into a kaleidoscope of possibilities, but with a darker edge.
It's a reminder that reality itself might be more fluid and malleable than we realize, especially in a world infused with magic. And those mirrors, they suggest that everything is connected, that the past, present, and future are all intertwined.
The floor is a mosaic of black and white tiles, but the patterns constantly shift, and stepping on the wrong tile might trigger a trap or transport you to another location, even another time. It's a room where you have to watch your step, literally and figuratively.
It's like a game board come to life, with real consequences for those who make the wrong move. And that circular table in the center, made of polished ebony, covered with games and ritual objects, tarot cards, Ouija boards, dice made of bone, dominoes carved with vives. It's like a smorgasbord of magical possibilities, but also potential dangers.
And that smell, incense, ozone, and something you described as the scent of possibility, tantalizing but unsettling. Like you're sensing something both alluring and potentially harmful.
It's the scent of magic itself, that raw, untamed energy that can be both creative and destructive. It's a reminder that in Cell de Jeu, you're not just playing games; you're playing with forces beyond your comprehension.
And who better to preside over such a space than Baron Samedi himself? You've mentioned he's a frequent visitor, using the games and rituals to his advantage, manipulating those who are drawn to the room's power.
Of course, the Baron is the master of games, the ultimate gambler. He thrives in those spaces where chance and fate collide, where the boundaries between the real and the unreal blur, and he knows how to exploit those desires and fears, turning them into tools for his own amusement and his own agenda.
And Cleo is often found there too, bartering those stolen dreams, learning from the Baron. Though what price they pay for that knowledge remains a mystery.
Cleo is walking a dangerous path, drawn to the power and the allure of the Cell de Jeu, but also vulnerable to the Baron's manipulations. It's a reminder that even those who think they're in control might be playing someone else's game.
Okay, so let's step outside the walls of Academy Lafite and explore the city of New Orleans itself. You've said it's a character in its own right, with its own rhythms, secrets, and bargains.
New Orleans is more than just a setting in the Gumbo Coven. It's the heart and soul of the story. And you've chosen specific locations that will play important roles, each one reflecting a different facet of the city's magic and history.
Let's start with L'Elephant Perdu, the Lost Elephant, an abandoned opera house on the edge of the French Quarter, said to be haunted by the ghosts of those who died in a fire decades ago.
It's a classic haunted location, but you've given it this extra layer of melancholy and beauty.
Right.
It's not just a place of fear. It's a place of memory, of echoes of the past that refuse to be silenced.
The building is crumbling, overgrown with vines. Its once grand facade now obscured by shadows and whispers. But those who venture inside might hear snatches of opera music, feel the phantom touch of those who once danced on the stage, even catch a glimpse of those flames that consumed the building all those years ago.
It's like the building itself is a repository of those lost dreams, those unfinished stories, those souls who haven't found peace. And the fact that salon magic practitioners try to keep their students away from it, well, that just makes it even more alluring.
It's like forbidden knowledge always holds a certain appeal, especially for those who are questioning the rules and seeking answers outside the confines of tradition. And you've hinted that Cleo might have a secret lair beneath the stage of L'Elephant Perdu, where they store those stolen dreams and experiment with those forbidden rituals.
Perfect setting for Cleo, who thrives in the shadows and pushes those boundaries. And that rumor that Baron Samedi himself might have a connection to L'Elephant Perdu, perhaps drawn to the residual energy of those who died in the fire, well, that just adds another layer of danger and intrigue.
It's like the Baron is always lurking in the background, his presence felt, even in those places where he doesn't directly appear. Now let's move from the haunted opera house to a place that's bursting with life. Le Marché Congo, the Congo Square Market.
Le Marché Congo is a feast for the senses. It's a place where you can find anything from fresh produce and handcrafted goods to magical charms and those whispered remedies passed down through generations. It's a celebration of New Orleans's diverse cultural heritage, a place where the rhythms of life and commerce pulse with an energy that's both exhilarating and a little chaotic.
It's set to be located on the site of an old slave market, a place where those who were forcibly brought to New Orleans from Africa first set foot on American soil. And you've said that those who are sensitive to such energies might feel a lingering sadness or anger there, but also a sense of resilience and defiance.
It's like the market itself carries the weight of that history, those echoes of pain and suffering, but also the strength and spirit of those who survived and created a new culture out of those fragments of their past.
The air is filled with the sounds of drums, the chatter of vendors, the aroma of spices and incense and street food that blends African, Caribbean, and Creole influences. It's a sensory overload in the best possible way.
It's like stepping into a different world, a world where those salon sensibilities are challenged and those unruly traditions thrive. And salon magic practitioners are definitely out of their element here, as the transactions and bargains are often conducted in languages and traditions they've tried to suppress.
It's a reminder that they don't have a monopoly on magic, that there are other ways of understanding and wielding power, ways that are deeply rooted in the city's history and culture. And you've mentioned that Gigi's family might have a stall in Le Marché Congo, selling those herbal remedies and charms, but passed down through generations.
Great way to connect Gigi to that authentic side of New Orleans magic, the side that the salon practitioners fear and try to control. It shows that she's not just a student of magic, she's a part of a larger community, a lineage that stretches back generations.
Now let's move to a place that's both sacred and unsettling. Cimetière Saint-Louis No. 1, the oldest and most famous of New Orleans cemeteries.
The cemetery. A classic setting for any story set in New Orleans. It's a place where the veil between the worlds is thin, where the spirits of the dead linger, and where those who are sensitive to such energies can tap into the city's deepest mysteries.
It's described as a labyrinth of winding paths and towering tombs shrouded in shadows and whispers. The air is thick with the scent of decay and floor offerings left by those who come to pay their respects.
Place of mourning, of course, but also a place of remembrance, of connection to those who came before us. And a city like New Orleans, where the ancestors are so revered, it's a place of power, a place where the past and present intertwine.
Salon practitioners view it with a mixture of fear and fascination, warning their students against dabbling in the rituals rumored to take place there. But Gigi might go there to seek guidance from her ancestors, perhaps leaving offerings at her mother's grave or performing those whispered rituals that her family has passed down.
Shows that she's not afraid to explore those darker aspects of magic, to connect with those roots that the salon practitioners try to deny. And the rumor that Baron Samedi himself can be found in the cemetery on certain nights, presiding over voodoo ceremonies, or perhaps just enjoying the company of those who have crossed over. Well, that just adds to the mystique and the danger.
It's like he's the gatekeeper of the other side, the one who decides who crosses over and who remains trapped between worlds. Now let's revisit that carte des monstres aquatiques, the map of water monsters. You've mentioned it's more than just a visual guide.
It's a layered artifact full of symbolism and hidden meanings. It's like a key to unlocking the secrets of the city's unseen world, but only for those who know how to read it.
Right, and it's interactive with hidden layers and details that change depending on how the reader interacts with it. Salon practitioners might dismiss it as a children's toy, but those attuned to the city's rhythms will recognize it as a powerful tool.
Like those ancient maps that were said to guide travelers to hidden treasures or warn them of dangerous territories. But in this case, the treasures are knowledge and power, and the dangers are those forces that lurk beneath the surface, both literally and figuratively.
Right, and you've given some examples of those hidden details, like the rougarou with a single tear rolling down its cheek, symbolizing its grief for those it has to fight because of human ignorance.
Beautiful and heartbreaking detail, reminding us that even those creatures we perceive as monsters might have their own sorrows and burdens. It challenges those simplistic notions of good and evil, reminding us that even in the darkest of creatures, there might be a flicker of empathy and regret.
And the Siren de Marais mermaid with its tail curled into the shape of that wrought iron balcony in Letterzili dorm.
It's a visual connection that links the mermaid, a creature of boundaries and warnings, to the dorm itself, hinting at the potential dangers that await those who trespass or violate those unspoken rules.
And the coral diazo's glowing eyes on the next page of the map. A subtle detail that most children might miss, but adults will recognize as a hint of something sinister lurking beneath the surface.
Clever use of foreshadowing, suggesting that the beauty of the coral reef is just a facade, that something dark and dangerous is hidden within its depths. It's a reminder that appearances can be deceiving, and that the true nature of things is often revealed only to those who look closely enough.
And that scratch and sniff patch that releases the scent of cypress, it's calming for some, but for those who are magically sensitive, it triggers vivid memories or premonitions.
Another layer of interactivity, engaging the reader's sense of smell and adding to the immersive quality of the map and cypress with its association with death and the afterlife, is the perfect scent to evoke those feelings of unease and mystery.
So the map is more than just a guide to monsters. It's a guide to the unseen world, a collection of whispered warnings, a testament to the power of folklore and imagination.
Exactly. It's a reminder that the world of the Gumbo Coven is full of hidden depths, and that those who are open to those possibilities will be rewarded with a richer and more nuanced understanding of the forces at play. Now, let's talk about the structure of the Casket Girls Waltz, the first book in the series. You're aiming for a dual audience, appealing to both young adults and middle-grade readers without compromising complexity.
It's an ambitious goal, but you've got the storytelling skills to pull it off, and your decision to lean into the young adult genre because of Christine's presence and their intense psychic experiences makes sense. Those themes of identity, mental health, and the challenges of being different resonate deeply with that age group.
But you're also using those picture book techniques where the surface is engaging for younger readers, but there are darker hints and undercurrents for those who are paying attention.
All about layering, creating a story that can be enjoyed on multiple levels.
Right, and that strategic placement of the YA-specific content, the darker bargains, the intense spirit encounters, perhaps in footnotes or a different language, is brilliant. It's like you're hiding those Easter eggs for the older readers, rewarding them for their close attention and knowledge of New Orleans lore.
And the illustrations will play a crucial role in conveying those dual meanings with subtle details and visual cues that hint at the darker aspects without being too frightening for younger readers.
The illustrations are an extension of the storytelling, another way to engage the reader's imagination and emotions. And by working closely with the illustrator, you can ensure that those visuals enhance the text, adding depth and complexity to the world you've created.
And then there's the website with those interactive quizzes and games that we discussed earlier. Those will appeal to both age groups with different levels of difficulty and complexity that unlock exclusive content.
Brilliant way to extend the reading experience beyond the physical book, creating a virtual world that readers can explore and interact with. And for those hardcore fans, those Grand Zombie tier members of the Jeune Guardians forum, well, they'll be rewarded with those chapters from the perspective of those forgotten characters, those whose stories are hinted at but never fully revealed in the most books.
It's like you're peeling back the layers of the story, revealing those hidden depths and complexities to those who are truly invested in the world you've created, and those try-fail points you've planned for the later books, those moments where Gigi tries to achieve a goal but fails, raising the stakes and forcing her to make difficult choices, are so crucial for character development and plot progression.
Those failures are what make TG a relatable and believable character. They show that she's not invincible, that she makes mistakes, and that she has to learn from those mistakes in order to grow.
Like in Book 4, Bayou of Bones, where she tries to rebuild trust within the school after the Casket Girls rampage, but those old prejudices and suspicions are hard to overcome. And her attempts to warn others about that manipulative visiting wizard fall on deaf ears.
It's a reminder that even with the best of intentions, sometimes we can't change people's minds or prevent them from making bad decisions. And those failures, those moments of heartbreak and disappointment are what shape us, what force us to reevaluate our beliefs and our actions.
Gigi also tries to master new forms of magic, drawing on those diverse traditions she's learned about. But the chaotic nature of that primal magic takes a toll on her.
It's a classic cautionary tale about the dangers of power without wisdom and control. It's a reminder that even the most gifted magic practitioners have to learn to respect the forces they're wielding to understand the consequences of their actions.
And in the climax of that book, she tries to save those she cares about, protect her city, even if it means wielding magic in ways that test her moral compass. But despite her efforts, tragedy strikes.
It's a turning point in the story where the stakes become even higher and the consequences even more dire. It's a reminder that even in a magical world, there are limits to what we can control, and that sometimes even our best efforts aren't enough to prevent loss and heartbreak.
And you've even thought about how those tri-fail points will be reflected in the visual design of the books themselves, like changes in typography, layout, or even the texture of the paper.
Taking storytelling to a whole new level, using the physical object itself to convey those emotional and thematic shifts in the story. It's a way to engage the reader's senses and create a truly immersive and memorable reading experience.
So what makes this world so compelling? It's that blend of familiar YA elements with a deep dive into New Orleans culture, a magic system that's both ancient and unpredictable, and those characters whose choices have real weight.
What I find fascinating is how you've used even the smallest details to create atmosphere and foreshadowing, inviting the reader to become a detective, uncovering those hidden layers and meanings.
You've created a world that's rich and layered, full of secrets and surprises, and I can't wait to see where this journey takes us. What kind of magic would you wield in this world? What bargains would you make? What choices would you face? Those are the questions we'll leave you with. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the Gumbo Coven.